Welcome back to the open bracket once more. Week 2 is still going on, and we're down to final 2 teams of the week. And it's the same 2 teams from last week. Totally. Obviously, these guys have qualified themselves now for the relegation battle that will happen now. But at the same time, they still should be working on synergy, ready for those opportunities.
It's going to be very important for last-minute monsters to find a little bit of redemption compared to last week. We saw 2 very quick games as Variety's new team was able to really just almost like pub stomp them, I would say. So it's very important mentally for last-minute monsters to show a good performance this week.
And Variety's new team here, VNT, they played against Dutch Myrmidons last week and struggled a little bit. It did end up going 3 games, but we saw what last-minute monsters could do against them. And then again in the finals, we saw what VNT did. So overall, like the story's kind of there for the most part. We'll see how this one plays out.
Variety's new team is a little inconsistent last week in terms of their performance against Dutch Myrmidons, like you mentioned. But in the finals, where it matters the most, that's when they put the pedal to the metal. They're able to really perform at a high level. So they just have to clean up their floor a little bit because their ceiling is just so high. If you look at their roster as well, you know, they have a few members from different teams. Arkkyl in the Hunter position, QvoFred. We have Trixtank coming from Orbit GG. Obviously, Zyrhoes, the coach, formerly from Energy Fnatic before that. Now joined up with Variety, who could be considerably the MVP of all of HRX had Obey won that set.
Had they won, but instead it was Energy that ended up coming out on top there overall. We'll see that when we get into the picks and bans, how this one's going to play out. I'm expecting Thanatos bans. I'm expecting Erlang Shen more than likely. We've seen a lot of that at the end of Season 3, and it's all been very aggressive from the get-go of every game.
You have to be very aggressive in the early game with the junglers. Try to get a good solo and jungle synergy just to be able to maybe invade the speed buff, or at least make it less tempting for the enemy to invade your speed buff, to not disrupt your flow, and then your strategy can still be executed the way you've been practicing the whole time.
Well, overall, this is going to be the last game, pretty much. The open bracket is going to be for Season 3. Then we move on to Season 4 as well. So things will change up there, but this will be the final set we'll see from Europe, at least. We have North America tomorrow. Variety's new team will be first pick, first ban. They're going to be on the blue side. Order side, as you know, at home, and Jingwei will be their first choice of
There's a lot of things you can really take off the table, so it makes sense as to why Variety's new team takes away Jingwei. You look at Arkkyl, he likes to play a lot of these aggressive gods, the Onher, the Uller every now and then. So Jingwei is more of like a passive god in the early game, more revolved around the farming. Anytime you get poked out, you'll just go back to base, utilize that passive, and then continue farming.
You mentioned passive there. Well, the passive on Nike is so good that people are continuing to ban it out as well. Influences the whole game to an extent. Well, not just to an extent. It does influence the whole game. Not necessarily from minute 1, but as the game goes on, you start stacking up those passive effects, and movement speed really comes into play.
Especially considering if you do go for an aggressive team composition where you're looking for team fights, you'll get those passive stacks relatively quickly. The first 2, you got to get about 200 minions, and then you get those 10 god kills for your team. You're going to get a lot of movement speed and a lot of increased damage, making it difficult for the enemy team in those team fights. So that's why normally you'll see Nike banned if you're the second pick.
Well, Freya's been picked up straight away for Variety's new team there, over more than likely towards Arkkyl in the duo lane. He likes to play the Anher as well, but Freya's one of the top go-to mages. It was been a lot of Jingwei, Chronos, Sol, and Freya. And in response, minute monsters here, the last minute monsters, we should say, Ratatoskr, Khepri as their first 2. So they're already looking for a dive composition with some backup of the backline to be able to revive, and we saw HalfDevil earlier on have a good game on it.
It makes sense. There's a lot of control with the Khepri as well between the root and the abduct. It makes it very annoying, especially going against the Sylvanus. That could be a very easy target for last-minute monsters to exploit, and like you mentioned before, this makes it that much easier for Ratatoskr to look for a squishy in that backline and then have Khepri bail him out, especially when that squishy is the Freya.
And also with the Janus picked up by Variety's new team, they're going to Zyrhoes, one of the more established mid laners who has played this in the past. Obviously, we've not seen Zyrhoes in the mid too much recently, but he is back to where a lot of people said was his best role.
And with this Janus, the way he performed on it the last week, he was always in and out of the action, but he would bait himself out to get to like 50 to 25% health, come back out, utilize those unstable vortexes through the wall very efficiently. He knows just how to optimize his character to the maximum capability. So I like the way he's been transitioning back into the mid role after having a lot of downtime in the SPL.
Well, the Zeus juices aren't going to be on the table for minute monsters now. Going to the counterban phase, it's Fenrir and Thor, so focusing on QvoFred's potential jungle options here. Obviously, it's not something we talk about much, but Freya can technically jungle. It's not something we're going to see in this meta, though, I predict. So it's quite likely that minute monsters are doing the right thing with their bans here.
I like the Bellona ban because of the Scourge, obviously, would deter the Freya in the mid to late game. It's a very long disarm. You don't really want to deal with that. Now, granted, You don't have to worry about Fafnir since you already have the Khepri. You're not likely to run that in the solo lane. So taking away that disarm option is huge, especially the on her, to allow Arkkyl to farm a little safely in the early game until he gets that Fatalis power spike.
Well, we mentioned the Hunters and the AD carriers mainly focused by mages there. Freya was one of them. Chronos is definitely another after Anher has been banned out. Pretty wise to ban the Anher there, though, as well. It's got a good matchup against Freya.
Yes, you always want to play very aggressive. On her specializes in the early game, whereas Freya is struggling a little bit until, needs a little bit of babysitting until the Fatalis and the boots come online. So this is why we see the bans. And immediately after the Chronos, locked in for Variety's new team is going to be the Tyr and the Hunbats, two very aggressive gods here.
Yeah, very, very aggressive composition from VNT. Minute Monsters, though, have a nice little balance here, I want to say, between the two, between their squad so far. Obviously with the Khepri for the backline protection of Zeus and Chronos and Ratatoskr to dive in. I do feel they need something else that's going to go deep a little bit here. I think that's where we see the Guan Yu.
A lot of sustain, a lot of resiliency coming out of last minute monsters between this Khepri and the Guan Yu. So if they can get to the mid game relatively safely, we should see potentially more team fights go their favor. But if Variety's new team is the first one to start the encounter, the Sylvanus and Hunbats ult is very disruptive, and that could be very problematic for last minute monsters.
Well, I'm looking here right now, Tolly, at the duo, so the right-hand side of the map, for the most part, the solo lane with the jungler combining here. We're going to have Guan Yu, Ratatoskr, Tyr, and Hunbats. Does one have a favor over the other? Should one be playing more defensive at the start of the game here?
Yes, the Guan Yu has to be very mindful about his positioning against the Tyr. Has to always be looking for the Tallow Assaults before the Fearless comes out, maybe even baiting that out potentially in an awkward position, as you're not going to be able to get knocked up. And with the Tyr change where you don't have to put a point into that power stance switch, that's going to allow Variety to really control the laning phase in the very get-go.
Well, Last Minute Monsters going to group up as 5 at the beginning of this game and walk into enemy territory. They do see QvoFred, but Variety's got himself snuck round the back for the time being, so if something did go off, he could get involved.
Trixtank is doing a wonderful job just separating the routes, making sure that it's a little bit of a distraction. Normally, Sylvanuses will go to the mid-tower, drop a route there for the MP5, drop one in the solo lane potentially, but recognizing that this meta currently in Season 3 still is very aggressive in terms of invading, those 3 routes can be the difference between having more mana for another ability or not.
And the funny thing is, when you look at actually the rosters here and the relic choices, teleport for both the solo and there's no Wrath available for either team here. Hog not going to be utilized this game whatsoever, so I don't predict early invades. Obviously, you can tell that by how the game is now started.
Well, level 12, though, that could be a different option being explored as the supports will hit that mark, but I don't really expect it because at level 12, you basically need more team fighting relics. So unless you're so far behind that you have to worry about the enemy securing any sort of objectives with a big damage burst ultimate. Obviously, Zyrhoes has through space and times. Detonate is going to be very good as well for Mr. Stefan, so that could be one option for these supports.
Now, very, very interesting start to this game as the right-hand Harpy's being looked at here and looking to be taken by Last Minute Monsters. Looks like it did go their way, but Trixtank started off in the mid lane here at the beginning of the game. They left Freya on her own, which means the Minute Monsters on the left-hand side with Khepri staying around here is able to steal away the boars and continue to pressure her a little bit.
It's a win-lose situation for Arkkyl on the Freya on the left side because she's going to get a lot of experience, but not too much gold. But QvoFred, though, taking a little bit of poke, but not much follow-up, as we saw. Mr. Stefan still making sure that that wave doesn't hit his tower. He doesn't want to lose all that gold.
Yeah, and you saw what happened with HalfDevil. They're using the abduct, trying to pull him away. His team weren't really in position to follow up there. And in the end, the left-hand Harpies do go down. There's a ever so slight lead in favor of VNT right now, the blue team. And they're just going to continue this pace with Trix being in the mid lane already. It is going to force Khepri to come over here as well.
And that could be a little bit of an issue for Last Minute Monsters. The way HalfDevil has been playing recently, he's been kind of on his own for the most part. He's still trying to shake off a little bit of the rust and the cobwebs, I would say, since he's been playing in the SPL again.
Well, let's talk about cobwebs. I know one person that's not got any right now, which is Variety on the Tyr, back to his best. Up against the Guan Yu here. Obviously, Tallow Assault can avoid the Fearless knockup, but if Variety times it right, he can turn that back around.
That's very true. You have to be very mindful about when you utilize that ability. But in the mid lane, though, barely able to get through that portal. Great escape from Zyrhoes. Yet again, just great performance on this Janus.
Don't think we would have seen the kill there either way, just because Zyrhoes did have Purification still available if he needed it for the most part there. So he could have potentially burned that relic, but right now, all good stuff from VNT. Nice aggression for Minute Monsters, though.
Absolutely, but Variety getting the better end of Rebound currently. Looking at the potion situation, still has 1 health and 1 mana pot for Rebound, but Tyr with 1 health pot still has a good mana pool to really continue this pressure. Should be able to clear this wave relatively relatively effectively, but it's going to be safer because the mini wave is slightly more into his tower. But Variety misses that dash, so he doesn't get the aggro. He tried to pull the melee minions into the archers, but he's still getting off a decent amount of poke.
But the heal will come through again. Talk to me about those potions a little bit as well. Hang on a second, because QvoFred in the jungle, fear no evil, going to force the rat to fall back a little bit there. Still only level 4. HalfDevil going to try and abduct Qvo away to allow Mr. Stefan on that Zeus to set up, but unfortunately, no real things coming from it.
And that was just a little fight over the Fire Giant elementals. This just goes to show how important that 90 gold is just for the jungler alone, recognizing that seems to be miscommunication there because
surprising.
QvoFred's ultimate was down.
Yep, and the team should have been communicating it was down, but instead Rebound playing it better safe than sorry. They're burning that ultimate, but now Variety will know the cavalry charge is down. Batz could come over here. QvoFred could look to gank, or Variety could look for the solo kill, knowing he's got his ultimate available.
And without that cavalry charge, anytime Rebound uses the dash, that's going to be an instant target for Variety. Going to be a Lawbringer into the Fearless, trying to get him out of that tower range. So we see a double invade between both of these teams, and I really like the idea. It's like, all right, you're going to take our speed and blue, we're just going to take yours in response.
And nobody's going to be there in time. However, Rebound's in a bit of an awkward position here. Has to dash back to safety, but luckily enough, if he did get in trouble there, HalfDevil on that Khepri was waiting in the wings.
QvoFred's ultimate still on cooldown for another 40 to 30 seconds or so, so going to be a little bit of downtime until we see some action coming out of Variety's new team. Normally, he's all over the place, but currently he's electing to be more in a safer position, trying to farm, trying to get more cooldown reduction. Probably going to go into the Janus draft. No, it's actually going to be the Hydra's Lament started for him as he back to base.
Yeah, we'll see what he ends up doing with that. As the left-hand Harpies here, going to go the way of Minute Monsters. Variety's new team want to take that red buff here, give this one over to Zyrhoes more than likely in the early game. As back in the solo lane, the solo lanes continue doing solo lane, I think.
This is what you have to do as tier. Once you hit that level 4, the level 7 rather, you have the level 4 of your heal, so you're going to be able to really poke out. You could take even 2 tower shots, no problem. The cooldown is so short that you can always be able to be in that right position. And with this bullying potential now coming out of Variety, he's able to clear the wave, deny gold from Rebound, as the tower is going to take away 3 melee minions at least and pick up those elementals.
And now with that opportunity, he can even potentially rotate towards mid lane and the right-hand Harpies as his team looks towards the Gold Fury here. It is only Trixtank and QvoFred doing this though, so it's going to take a while. Freya will start to swing a bit, but nobody on Minute Monsters knows this going on. No response. And instead, it'll be a free Gold Fury, the way of VNT.
And Hestrix was in the right-hand side. They had no idea. There was no vision coming out of them. The Zeus was still in middle, trying to get that wave, but it was very important for Zyrhoes to stay in mid, keeping Mr. Stefan distracted long enough to allow those 3 members from Variety's new team to get the free objective at the 5-minute mark.
And it's one of those things that you can do with Janus as well, because you can still get to the fight with the poles, get his team away from the fight if need be. Mid lane, bit of pressure here onto Hestrix, and he's going to be in a lot of trouble here. Space and time to the face will make sure QvoFred can pick up the kill after the Fear No Evil.
That was so important that Fear No Evil not only hit Hestrix, but it also hit HalfDevil, which prevented HalfDevil from using his own ultimate to save Hestrix in the process. Beautifully positioned by QvoFred, and on top of that, the damage coming out of Zyrhoes' ultimate was also required to burst him down quick enough before HalfDevil stopped being mesmerized.
See more pressure in the mid lane here as QvoFred with Trixtank wrapping around the back, looking at Mr. 7, and he's rooted in place now. HalfDevil has the ultimate available, and well-timed after the unstable Vortex. Zyrhoes would have cleaned that up. They will stay standing for now with just the 1 loss of life.
Literally the last quarter second to half second, HalfDevil was waiting to get off that ultimate. He could have also played it a little bit safer, just get it off there, give increased movement speed just to be able to go into that tower, but he waited for that unstable Vortex from Zyrhoes and literally pulled it off right before both of those orbs hit.
And that's the funny thing about playing Khepri as well. Sometimes it might be better to just pop it early, you know, but in that situation, he timed it for the right moment, because if you make those mistakes then, your teammate could just fall down dead.
Absolutely. Better to play it safe than sorry, but HalfDevil's mechanics, definitely no rust or cobwebs there, so I like his performances. He just has to clean up a little bit of the miscommunication. We saw him earlier on the left side mid Harpies trying to go for an engage while the rest of his team was still clearing out mid.
Yeah, right now you can see the 2 support players as well. A lot of magical defense already been worked on by Trixtank there. HalfDevil, meanwhile, hasn't headed back to base recently, I feel. He's got a lot of gold in his inventory based off his net worth here, so we'll see exactly what he goes back to buy as well. I'm expecting he's probably going to look for magical defense as well, especially against 2 mages on the team, but space and time on the right-hand side been fired here, and already we're going to dead member. No chance there for Rebound to get out of dodge before QvoFred and Variety combine, and even Zyrhoes was covering the option.
Variety had full health during the whole time. Rebound got really bullied out there, only having that tier 2 breastplate of Valor, so not able to really survive. This is the point time when you can still bully the Guan Yu, as his sustain is just not quite there yet. You're maxing the Talu Assault just to be able to clear the wave, and as a result, you're going to be struggling. Whereas the Tier, his clearing of the wave is also his heal at the same time, which gives him a huge advantage in lane.
Well, the Goon squad that is Trixtank and QvoFred are starting to link up a little bit more now, invading the jungle on the left-hand side. However, on the opposite side of the map as well, you can see exactly what Hestrix is doing, trying to answer this back with invasions of his own. The only difference is he's only getting that experience on his own, not with his team.
Not at all, but he got the back left Harpies. He elected not to go for the red buff. It has been dropped down. Actually, it was still dropped down, but now in the mid lane, they're going to find the defensive ultimate, but Mr. Stefan still wants to kill the portal from Zyrhoes, getting him out of trouble.
Yeah, big key there was Trixtank actually ulting for defense to make sure Zyrhoes got away, and then Zyrhoes returned the favor overall there. It's kind of what you need from these teams as time goes on, making sure you support each other to get out of bad situations.
That's where you can see the difference of communication levels between these two teams. Obviously, Rebound using that cavalry charge earlier on when QvoFred's ultimate was still down. So I like the way Variety's new team has been able to adapt compared to their last week, because like we mentioned before, mechanically, they're all very sound players, but they just have to clean up a little bit of the diving situation. So they have a little bit of a lead now, about 2,000 gold at this point, with only 2 kills, having an early 5-minute gold fury as well. The question is, how do they extend this a little bit further? Are they going to play a little bit more safe and go for a grouping up with Trixtank sustain, or are they going to keep making these side lane plays off their own?
I think we're going to keep an eye on Cosmic this game as well. He's Ice HD on the side of Last Minute Monsters. He's got a small lead at the moment, I'd say, over Arkkyl. They're both level 11, but Cosmic did ding level 11 a little bit early with a full minion wave coming in. However, in the jungle, a bit of a setup here from VNT.
HalfDevil, though, out of position. He's going to get caught up by Trixtank and Zyrhoes, whereas QvoFred and Arkkyl are going to collapse back onto him. That Fear No Evil might be long enough to find the kill, but he's going to get out.
And now it could be a turnaround here if they want to go for it. And there we go. You can see Hestrix in the sky looking to dunk. Where's the target going to be? He was thinking about QvoFred, who's half elf, but he said it was the tree. He splits the difference here. Now goes onto QvoFred, but Qvo's just buying time as meanwhile Trixtank has fallen down. We're following this fight through as eventually Qvo does fall to Hestrix, but Hestrix ends up getting picked up by Arkkyl.
Trixtank fell in the backhand side as well. Now Arkkyl is left alone against 2 members from Last Minute Monsters. The Detonate is going to be able to chunk him down. Finds it finally.
Lawbringer in, Fearless takes up one. However, turned on now by Cosmic as well as the support of Rebound. With the rewind available, Last Minute Monsters are turning this fight around.
So important for Cosmic to have that wing blade because he had the health pool to survive it. Now he has the movement speed to be able to chase this, and Zyrhoes' portal was a little bit too out of position. Variety sacrificing a life. Overall, that was a 3-for-1 as Trixtank has respawned from that last engagement.
Very interesting over there. I mean, Hestrix died as well, so it was a 3-for-2 in the grand scheme of things. But it was a fantastic little trade between the two. It was VNT that went aggressive. We saw Last Minute Monsters reinitiate, but they split their difference of where they wanted to go, and that did cause them a couple of issues, but worked out well in the end.
That's the key to the success of Zeus. If you're out of position, even remotely, that area of effect damage is just too much to handle. With the same exact thing goes with Variety's new team between the Batz and the Sylvanus.
Going to get knocked up, but they don't care about HalfDevil. They want Hestrix here, who dashes away. Qvo going to come straight back into the somersault, and the Fear No Evil, but HalfDevil's there with the ultimate, but they're not going to park it. He's still in trouble.
He's still in trouble. Trixtank is going to try to find the pull, but yet again, Mr. Stefan doing so much damage to QvoFred. One in here connects. The pull is going to save QvoFred for now, but Hestrix into the sky. He wants it more.
QvoFred is already dead though because the minions cleaned him up. Great play from both the support players overall here to keep their teammates standing. However, Variety's still here with a Lawbringer, looking towards the target, looking for a Fearless if he can. Change his stance, looking for an opportunity, but right now, Minute Monsters, they're on the run, and poor old HalfDevil, he's the one alone.
No ultimate for him, but that's going to be an overall 1-for-1. QvoFred still dead. A nice little route. The pull might be available here. They're going to dive. Zyrhoes takes the portal in between Tier 1 and Tier 2. Nowhere to go. Overall, 2-for-1.
And Zyrhoes there, you saw what he did. He was on full health. He knew he could take a couple of tower shots and still be very, very comfortable. Take him, cut off the option of escape, and turn it around into a kill. However, maybe VNT bit off a bit more than they can chew, and now Trixtank has been chopped down.
This is what we were talking about with VNT. You know, they get a little bit of a lead, they get a little bit too comfortable, and they overstay their welcome. But Variety doing a good job, still grabbing the blue buff and doing so much poke damage in return. Now, Rebound is in a good spot, though, for sustain.
Cosmic gonna be forced to rewind here, and Arkkyl could be in trouble because HalfDevil's over here too. Scratch that because QvoFred was in the wings as well. Fear No Evil focusing on Cosmic, but Cosmic in a good enough position. Zyrhoes wants to give chase, realizes he can't do that, tries to turn on HalfDevil, but in the end, both the Hunters and the team stay standing.
Yet again, Wingblade doing so much work for Cosmic, having the health, having the movement movement speed, the accelerate, boosting on top of this, but Zyrhoes is not done yet. The unstable Vortex almost caught Cosmic before the ultimate.
I don't know about staying in here, Cosmic. He could have walked away. Instead, he lives to fight another day. Drops the base to Zyrhoes. And that could have sent Cosmic back to base, but now he's in trouble himself.
But the portal's going to get him out of trouble. Hestrix ultimate was already used just to be able to engage the QvoFred, forced into the purification, clean kill onto Cosmic, and HalfDevil has no mana to really chase this.
Got really messy between the two teams now. It started off slow. It started off EU, but on the top side, Variety is swinging around, and we're going to continue to see the fights. The blink is there, and he's going to find HalfDevil. Great pull to follow up from Trix, but still HalfDevil standing and a force heal in response.
And that's going to be the Lawbringer, finds the kill onto HalfDevil. Stefan's ultimate was used. He's into the sky. Arkkyl doing so much damage. QvoFred finding the kill, 2 for nothing, and they could go for the gold.
And this is messy. Overall, totally, let's be honest, it just started off 7 minutes of nothing into just constant fighting everywhere from right side of the map all the way to left. And now the Gold Fury is available.
This is a similar story to the first game of the last week, because the last game was actually 29 minutes, and that was able for Variety's new team to really show how dominant they are.
Cavalry charge from Rebound, trying to force the reset, but he gets aggro. Gold Fury goes down. It looks like it did go the way of the last minute monsters there, but Rebound will play with his life there overall. Works out well, I guess, for last minute monsters.
Definitely worth it. 13-minute mark. You're going to get a lot of gold for your team at this point, and more importantly, you denied for Variety's new team to snowball on you. But the question is, it looks like Variety's new team, they're just going to group up with that now. Without the sustain from Rebound, they're going to have the sustain from Sylvanus on the side of VNT.
Great pull again from Trixtank there onto Hestrix. Going to force the purification early. The damage from Unstable Vortex going to force him back to base as the tier 1 falls, which even things up after the Gold Fury going down.
Cosmic trying to get that tower on the left-hand side, but now we see Arkkyl. He was contemplating rotating on the left-hand side, but Zyrhoes might have been in trouble. Instead, waiting for that red buff potentially to respawn. He could catch Cosmic out of position, looking for the 1v1. He finds the whoop, but he wants more.
And can we see this fight between the two? Both have ultimates available. Relic burnt there by Arkkyl. Going to force the ult very early on. Cosmic, one hit from death, and he tried to hold off. It wasn't good enough in the end. Meanwhile, though, in the mid lane, Zyrhoes did fall down to Mr. Stefan after the space and time was fired.
Really surprising trade there. Hestrix trying to find a rotation without the ultimate from Arkkyl. It's a very easy and tempting target to go on to, and you kind of have to exploit these magical hunters anytime you can. Unfortunately for Cosmic, he didn't respect the damage coming out of Valkyrie's discretion. Being level 15 at this point gives you a lot of damage, especially if you're leveling up that ultimate. Normally, you don't really want to go for the whoop. You want to leave it at level 1 for the most part, just to make sure that the rest of your team can capitalize off of it.
And the way this game's gone so far, Tolly, only 15 minutes in, you look at the level difference, and it's not massive at the moment, is it? I mean, there's 3,000 experience, but when you split that across 5 people, it doesn't really amount to much, but it is something.
It's a slow and steady, comfortable lead coming out of Variety's new team. Now, granted, had they gotten that last Gold Fury, we could have seen a lot more just grouping up, making sure that they get their items and start getting the team fights. Now, if they can keep finding people out of position the way they have been with Trixtank and QvoFred's ultimate, that's the key to Variety's new team's success.
Bit of an awkward situation there for last minute monsters. Hestrix was out of mana, forced to base, and Quvo was waiting in the wings. And already Variety, though, did secure that blue 2v1. He just held on for his Fearless to come up so he could clean it without any turnaround.
Not only does Variety have the blue buff, he also has the Genji's Guard just to be able to get more of that MP5. And not only that, he denies the blue buff for Rebound, which also allows Trixtank to pick up his own blue buff. And these two frontliners with blue buff is going to make the team fights last so long.
You're right, because obviously blue buff overall will allow Guan to sustain more with a conviction, but at the same time, well, they give that sustain now to their sustain themselves in Trixtank, which will allow him to spam those heals a little bit more for the next fight.
Hestrix looking for Arkkyl though, but he gets spotted out. The stun finds him, and the time rift Arkkyl trying to get off so much damage. Valkyrie's discretion finds it after only 2 shots.
And then the portals come through as well. Arkkyl looking to run away, but reinforcements have arrived. Fear no evil. Going to keep Arkkyl stunning. Cosmic's trying to rewind back to full health, but he's still in an awkward spot. No rotation from his team whatsoever. Zyrhoes picks it up, and that was a call from VNT, recognizing what was going on. Arkkyl took a 1v2, and then the boys reinforced him.
You have to be so careful against boxing a Freya in the late game. She's now level 17, was 16 during that time. Not only that, having the backup of the Janus through space and time is what VNT has been utilizing this whole game. You can't really not expect expect the rest of the backup squad to come from VNT.
And last time we saw Variety's new team, you know, in week 1 of the open brackets, Oli, they were in a bit of an awkward position. As I say, that rebound is now forced a cavalry charge, but they said themselves they hadn't scrimmed too much before that. They were still working on communication. Well, you saw a lot of communication in this game so far, at least in this first game of the finals.
Slow and steady VNT, forcing the Guan ulti on the right, invading the speed a little bit later after that, regrouping and to figure out what they really want to do. QvoFred still bouncing between mid and solo without that cavalry charge. That could be an easy target, especially with Fear No Evil.
Blink in, Fear No Evil connects, half health at the moment, his rebound, dashes back towards his tower, but they're going to commit under the tower here. Qvo has aggro at the moment of this tower, very, very tanky indeed, to be able to just weather the storm there, just high enough in level to hit a couple of tower shots before last-minute monsters could reinforce.
Nice little route just to be able to allow QvoFred the opportunity to jump with that purification. HalfDevil still going really aggressive. Stefan doing a lot of damage, but Hestrix in the sky going to find the knockup, the sustain, and the pull, keeping QvoFred alive.
But Hestrix still wants it, and the somersault comes up at the same time as the dash, and now it's Hestrix in trouble. HalfDevil forced to ult defensively to keep him alive, but Tears there with the Fearless Chain to knock up both, and now HalfDevil will fall too. The Skyrim's going to get turned on now by QvoFred, who is just looking to back 2 members down, 3 members I should say, of last-minute monsters.
3 for nothing, Variety's not done. He wants the 4th one. He finds the Lawbringer into the blink. They're diving with Trixtank as well. Zyrhoes joining them. The unstable Vortex is going to be doing so much damage. Overall, 4 for nothing.
Crazy, crazy engagement. Meanwhile, Arkkyl rotated towards mid lane here, making sure he can support the fight if need be, and instead we'll push an extra wave or 2 into the tower. And on the left-hand side, you can see QvoFred now after force back. He's going to make sure he defends that tier 1. His rebound still taking this trade, but I don't think he really wanted that trade overall. He's going to pay the iron price there.
Only 1 more shot required, finds it, but now Cosmic trying to find the cleanup. Zyrhoes, though, with the portals, finds the kill before the rewind, and now Gold Fury is up as well. Instead of going for the tier 2 tower, they're going to get so much in return.
I'll tell you something now, Zyrhoes' map awareness on Janus is absolutely amazing. That's twice now that we've seen Arkkyl box the Chronos and realize that he's going to be in trouble there up against Cosmic. And before I've even gone, this could be a bad situation, the through space and time has appeared.
The communication is just on point for VNT. Variety has been able to dive that tier 2 tower in the mid lane for free, just waiting a little bit to overextend on the jungle side, just to allow the rest of his teammates to get the tower on the left.
Arkkyl feeling himself a bit too much there, in a bit of trouble, but luckily enough, he's got his backup of QvoFred. Stefan's ultimate is good from Zeus, but not enough to pick up Arkkyl after the detonate comes through, and round the back comes Trix, but Arkkyl biting off more than he can chew. A couple of times here. I guess you can when you have a lead like this.
I like it, this, exactly. VNT still showing signs of a little overconfidence, but Trixtank on the backhand side, they really want Mr. Stefan jumping right before the detonate, getting out with the monkey bounce, but the archers were still on him.
And the archers come into play, but Zyrhoes will turn that one around to make it a 1-for-1. The pull on HalfDevil doesn't find a home there. Zyrhoes was fighting too there, but sneaks through a portal through the wall back towards his team. The fights continue.
2 for 1. Gold Fury wasn't looked at, but Mr. Stefan is too low to really get out of that one. Zyrhoes is too mobile with the portals, with the threshold, has the CDR with that Chronos pen. Variety though, with the Lawbringer trying to find Cosmic, but that accelerate gonna keep him alive for a little bit and putting Variety in combat so he can't blink.
Yeah, main thing to really do there. He's looking for the blink now. Going to find it. Fearless only connects at the end, but it was enough for a knock-up. Still Cosmic in trouble. Stun will find a home, and now Cosmic still trying to run away. Sanctuary will keep him alive for now, but the Fearless is back up for Variety once more. He'll pick up Cosmic, as Zyrhoes now in trouble looking for a portal. Will get away. There's 2 members who are still diving the Phoenix.
So many portals from Zyrhoes, getting in and out of danger. This is why he's so scary with this Janus. I feel like it seems that in the next game at least, they have to explore this option of maybe taking away the Janus from Zyrhoes, because like we mentioned before, you try to exploit Arkkyl on the front on the left-hand side, but no, now you have to worry about the portals.
It definitely feels like a bit of a mismatch here between the 2 teams. For me, VNT are kind of playing around a little bit, testing what their limits are as a team, testing their communication in this set more than anything else, seeing what they need to improve on. Are they reinforcing at the right time? How long can we stay in a fight for? You know, just testing these things out for future use.
HalfDevil unfortunately didn't get off his ultimate there, so it's going to be a 5-on-4 for a little bit longer as the rest of VNT, the through space and time, almost connecting onto 2 members there, but they're going to die. The tier 2.
No Evil hits onto 3. Into the sky goes the rat, but they're looking at Zeus right now, and Zeus will fall down first to Variety. Next on the list is going to be Hestrix, trying to run down the lane to safety, but with a monkey and a 1-armed man chasing you down, there's not much hope for a rat unless minions come into play again.
It's a speed buff. Batz, you can't really get away from that one. Finally finding the kill. It's going to be 3 for nothing. HalfDevil HalfDevil just now respawning, but we have damage being dealt onto the middle Phoenix. Not too much damage because it is a magical hunter specializing in killing gods, not Phoenixes.
But at the same time, all the towers are now down. That's a big key here. A lot of global gold that's gone into VNT's coffers as this game has continued. We're getting to a point now where it's almost do or die for last-minute monsters. I've not seen them grouped as a team yet.
No, not at all, and this has resulted into VNT establishing a 12,000 goal lead at the 22-minute mark. This is almost out of control completely for last-minute monsters. Their last hope is going to be just to be able to possibly steal this Fire Giant one way or another, and that's very difficult to do against the Fear No Evil that could easily deter you from getting anywhere close.
And you can see the gold graph there. You can see how it just dips down just before the 1704 mark on that, and that's where the gold fury was taken by last-minute monsters. But since then, it's been fight after fight after fight, and it's been last-minute monsters trying to respond to VNT's aggression and not being able to find any wins.
You have to be able to utilize your space control. Between Trixtank and QvoFred, their double ultimates are just on point always, communicating when they want to do it. They communicate whose purification is down, and then one person starts it between either Trixtank or QvoFred. They wait a little bit, and then the next person will follow. And they've been on a team together since the launch tournament. Their synergy has always been on point.
Well, I know VNT need the Fire Giant here to really bring down the Phoenixes because the lack of damage they've got on those Phoenixes with Freya. The Fire Giant will help them. However, it's allowed Hestrix to realize the Fire Giant's being done right now. Will we see a contest?
Can't really do much about it because on the left-hand side, Mr. Stefan and Cosmic trying to get at least some gold back into their team's pocket. They found the tier 1 tower. Now they're going to go for the tier 2 with a wave, but it's going to be Variety making the teleport. He has to decide though who he goes on. He misses the Fearless.
So the tower's still going to go down either way. Even if he did hit that Fearless there, that tower was going to fall. The Fire Giant goes the way of VNT, and now it's Mr. Stefan on his own as Cosmic says, peace, I'm out. But Cosmic may get caught back into the jungle there.
Nope.
No, he'll get out. Instead, it's Stefan that's going to be left alone to pay the price.
Variety doing a good job just buying time until Zyrhoes finds the ultimate through the left-hand side. The rest of the team is able to make the rotation. The Fear No Evil to buy even more time. Hestrix gonna get soloed.
He is going to get soloed TV1 there. The Fear No Evil just too good. HalfDevil didn't have his ultimate available there as Arkkyl cleans up rebound, and QvoFred is having fun now. Like, VNT are beating them into fights. Last-minute monsters want to fight, but VNT are showing that they're on their own and still into fight. Should give you an idea this is not a good idea.
This is how you know a team is just dominating completely. Hestrix dies to QvoFred. Rebound dying to Arkkyl in 2 separate 1v1 encounters, and now with that HalfDevil getting picked off as well. The QvoFred into the purification, almost getting body blocked there, back into the timer of Cosmic. Wants to find a return kill, but the rest of VNT, they're not worried about killing Cosmic. It's only one member alive. As long as everyone from VNT gets this mid-Phoenix and keep Cosmic distracted, there's no defense for the Titan.
Well, Stefan has just respawned on the Zeus, however, as we're watching Cosmic going to take a tumble more than likely here. The rewound will come out, but he's still going to have to continue the trade once more.
Arkkyl still full health. He dodges the stun, does get hit by the time rift, and realizing the game is not in his favor, just going to sacrifice his life. He had no more cooldowns available.
Yeah, when he misses those cooldowns, when he misses the stun, he knows he's going to be in an awkward position against Arkkyl there. Arkkyl still had Sanctuary available as well if he needed it on top of that, but 2 Phoenixes now down for VNT, and it's a bit of do or die situation for last-minute monsters for a while now. Obviously, the last-minute monsters here, Tolly, I'm pretty sure by their name it suggests that they put themselves together on a whim at the start of the open brackets in week 1. They've done well to get to the finals twice, but they've walked into a much harder opposition.
Absolutely. Variety's new team is no joke at this point. They're a team that is so mechanically gifted, and their communication has just been so on point this whole game. Their invades, their ability to get an early goal here at the 5-minute mark, and now they're going to be able to end this first game faster than they ended the first game the last week.
They're looking very good for them right now at 26 minutes on the clock. The Titan is below 25% health. The Titan is on 0 health right now. VNT take game 1. Now, obviously, totally, you know, these two teams, they've already qualified to go into the relegations fight overall. They're obviously playing for, not necessarily seeding, because seeding doesn't matter as it's a round-robin format, but they are still preparing themselves.
It's still like a competition, and you want to be tested to your limits at this point. Despite what happens between now and the relegations, new season or not, you have to be able to come and be able to perform at your highest level. You cannot allow a team to get the better end of you.
And that's one of the reasons I think we see VNT doing so many shenanigans there of like hanging around with 2 health, health and trying to continue to fight because they want to test the limits of the team.
They're feeling a little bit loose, but they got themselves a very comfortable lead, so they're willing to kind of, play around with LMM a little bit longer just to see what they can really get away with, especially considering the fact that Arkkyl was doing a good job. He was able to 1v2 Hestrix and Cosmic before the rest of VNT showed up through Zyrhoes' portals.
When we look at picks and bans for game 2, then what adaptations do you want to see coming out from the last-minute monsters here? Is it going to be focused on certain people, or is it just take away the big stuff as usual?
Well, with Arkkyl playing the Freya, I would have liked to see more earlier pressure from last-minute monsters just to shut him down, not allow him to get into that mid to late game, especially when they have a good magical hunter of their own, Cosmic playing that Chronos. But I would like to see them at least explore the opportunity and the option to take away the Janus from Zyrhoes.
But surprised as well by seeing the Khepri drafted by last-minute monsters over a Sylvanus. And Sylvanus, recognized as probably one of the more dominant ones with the sustaining the support role right now at the start of the game, whereas Khepri's kind of the secondary when Sylvanus is taken away from you.
It seems that maybe HalfDevil was very comfortable with this guy. We saw him being played in the last set, so this is something that they're more comfortable with because he can't really take away gods from Trixtank necessarily. He'll play warriors. He doesn't even care. You take away any guardian from him, he wants to play warriors. He wants to play Sun Wukong or Erlang Shen just to invade your red buff potentially.
Well, let's see what